Ooh, all right, yeah, we're good to go. Get it, bro. Sorry for the late run, by the way.
It's all good.
Luckily, it's the
Hello
weekend, right?
and you said what?
I said, luckily, it's the weekend. I mean, I think that's some
True.
R. Kelly lyrics in some sort of verbiage, but it is what it is.
Don't say R. Kelly.
Bounce, 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 bounce.
Hello and welcome back to the Second and Two podcast. I'm your host, TB. I got my co-host, producer extraordinaire, hat connoisseur, master of the grills. You all know and love him. It's Jody. What's up, Joe?
Not much, man. You know, we're well, as we were briefly talking about, we're rolling really late. We missed our Tuesday normal output date. We're recording on a Friday right now. Actually, it's late for my guy. Was that 11 o'clock for you at the moment?
Yeah.
Yeah. So today I'm gonna just be honest. I'm gonna just give it to y'all raw. No pause on that one. I'm gonna throw this out as soon as we're done here and let y'all hear it before we get into these games because I don't want to put it out tomorrow after the first two games roll out. You know what I mean? So y'all hear us
Nah.
live, basically, in a sense.
And this is I think it's gonna be a good episode. I'm excited for it. So appreciate you, bro. You know, you always get quickie
I
on
try.
the audio going out. It's been a process that you've gotten pretty good at.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I just gotta lock in, do it right after, no complaints. Like before, I would do like half the episode, let it sit a day, do the rest of it. And now it's like, if I just knock it all out, I get the rest of my time free. I don't have to like have it on the back of my mind. So there's
Yeah,
some things you gotta work around, make it happen.
for sure. So we're gonna get into the playoffs. Obviously, we're gonna dive into that, but we do want to talk a little bit of coaching news. Since we last recorded, the New England Patriots both fired or
And hired.
however you want to term it, say Bill
Got rid of
Belichick left the
Belichick
team
in some sort of sense.
and they hired Gerard Mayo. The Las Vegas Raiders today hired Antonio Pierce to be their head coach. So
Nice.
we've got some movement. The Dallas Cowboys will not be firing Mike McCarthy, and it does not look like the Philadelphia Eagles will be firing Nick Sirianni. And barring something
Wild
incredible
moves.
happening after the divisional round, it looks like we're going to end up with 8 new coach openings, 8 new hires going into 2024. So I was thinking about this, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, you look at the divisional round, and who's everyone's like favorite Cinderella right now? It's the Houston Texans.
Yeah, true.
And what did the Houston Texans have this year that everyone kind of loved?
CJ
Rookie coach,
Stroud.
rookie QB, right?
Yeah.
New coach, new QB combo. It's everyone's favorite thing. If things are not going right, change the coach, change the QB, right? That's always everyone's
Yeah.
answer.
That's the piece that's missing right
That's
there.
the quick fix.
Yeah.
So I thought about this. I said, which team could be the new Texans in 2024? The new coach, new QB combo to lead their team to the promised land. So Jody, in
Yeah.
this thought exercise, I'm going to throw some new coach QB combos out at you, and you tell me which one you, in this hypothetical world, would think would be the best. Are you ready?
Yeah. I'm very
Okay.
intrigued looking at the docket, and it's kind of wild to look at these names next to some of these teams, but I'll let you get into that.
So, for starters, I did this based on where I think these coaches will end up first,
Yeah.
and then where I could see said team finding a quarterback. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So, number one, Patriots. Right. It was Brady and Belichick for years.
True.
Since then, it's been Brady and Cam Newton, or Belichick
Or
and Cam
Belichick.
Newton,
Yeah.
Belichick and Mac Jones, Belichick and Bailey Zappi. Well, guess what? It's going to be someone entirely different next year. And we
Yeah,
know one half of that equation is Gerard Mayo. What about the other half? I give you Jaden Daniels, the number 3 pick in the draft.
dang.
What say you, Jody? You like that? You like a little Gerard Mayo, Jaden Daniels?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know much about Jaden Daniels other than he's the LSU guy. But I doesn't sound too bad. I am
Heisman
interested
Trophy
that
winner.
they wouldn't. Yeah, true. I am interested that they wouldn't pick a skill position here and not try to figure something out with their current quarterback still. But as long as it's not a receiver, I've been saying that to them, so it's okay.
All right. So I'll give you a second one here. We're going to go to the Falcons. There's a name, a man that they lost to in the Super Bowl who's been floating around.
Yeah, apparently
And,
that private jet flew up there, huh?
And on the same side of that, a lot of people have thought that the Falcons were just a veteran quarterback away, a guy who could just get the ball to all those players that they have on offense now, right?
Yeah, they do have a lot of weapons.
What about a team up of Bill Belichick and Kirk Cousins in Atlanta? Jody, should Falcons
sounds
fans be
really
excited
fun.
about that?
But I don't know if Kirk O'Thuggins will be ready by the start of the season. But it does sound great. Unless he's hanging out with our guy Aaron Rodgers, maybe he speeds up that process by like 3 months. So I don't know.
I think it's interesting because I do know that Kirk Cousins' wife has family in that area.
Okay.
In Georgia.
That's nice.
Belichick, Cousins was asked about playing for Belichick recently, and he said that would be an opportunity that would be very hard for him to pass up.
Oh.
I'm just saying there's a lot, connect some dots. Maybe we kind of like that. Now, I also just think Kirk Cousins.
I don't know.
I also think that Kirk Cousins is like the exact kind of quarterback the Falcons need just to be like competitive and like win their division.
Yeah.
If you gave them Bill Belichick and Kirk Cousins to the team they had this year, I feel like that team wins their division.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're automatically the favorite in their division at that point. So maybe a fun one. All right, let's go with the Commanders here. All right, they just hired their new GM, Adam Peters, who comes from San Francisco. All right.
Okay.
So I thought San Francisco guy was there for a while. Why not hire off the Shanahan San Francisco tree, Bobby Slowick, your new Commanders head coach. All right. And then pair him with the number 2 overall pick, Drake May. Slowick just worked wonders with Stroud, who was the number 2 overall pick, right?
That's
in that
true.
offense.
Yeah.
Why not pair those guys together with some of those skill position players that they already have, Terry McLaurin, for instance, and see what you got there in Washington. Jody, what do you like about that one?
Well, I kind of answered my own question here in my head before I even spoke it, just because I was like, Drake May. Why wouldn't we go Caleb Williams? But based off your next one, it kind of tells me what happens with that first pick. So I'm gonna just let it slide. Bobby Slowick, though, he is killing it with C.J. Stroud. They lit up the Browns last week, which is kind of a wrinkle as to why I'm like torn on that game this week. But yeah, sounds nice.
Okay, let's go over to Seattle, West Coast here. Seattle, they just allowed Pete Carroll to transition to the front office. They're looking for that same energy and vibrance that he brought. A guy, I think, in a similar mold to him that will work well with John Snyder, their GM, but carry the same weight that Pete Carroll carried in that organization for years. What about Mike Vrabel? All right. Keeping a similar defensive vibe at the head coach position. And instead of just completely resetting by drafting a quarterback, because apparently one of the kind of rifts between Pete Carroll and the organization is the organization wants to go younger at quarterback.
That makes
away
sense.
from
Geno Smith.
Geno Smith. Pete Carroll was a huge believer in Geno Smith, and just it was not about that. It's kind of part of the reason there was a rift, kind of part of the reason why it sounds like Pete Carroll's no longer the head coach, other than his age. So instead of drafting one, how about you just get a little younger, maybe you trade a draft pick, second, third round pick, and you go get Justin Fields to pair with Mike
Mhm.
Vrabel. What do you think about this one, Jody?
I will say that Justin Fields going there would be crazy, but you don't got faith in my guy Drew Lock? Come on, bro. He's like a modern day Brett Favre in like a sense.
My guy just said Drew Lock was modern Brett Favre.
You know, you could sling the rock around, throw a couple touchdowns, got to throw a pick, you know. Do you win with him as much as you do with Brett? Probably not, but you never know. Maybe he coaches
Dude,
him up.
I cannot believe you right now. You're sabotaging my Mike Vrabel, Justin Fields combo for a Drew Lock conversation right now.
Hey, you
I
know,
put on for the city. On.
exactly, bro. Come on, my dude's got some. He's got a dog in there somewhere. He just got to unleash it. You know what I
Oh.
mean? But
Ah,
in terms of the conversation we're having, Mike Vrabel and Justin Fields, you know, he was the coach for Mariota, yeah,
uh-huh.
yeah. So it'll work out. It's just, you know, wait, JSN, Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Now we're
Little
making this
Ohio
sound
State
nice.
connection.
Now we're making
You
this sound
like it
nice.
now, huh? Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I don't
See?
know. Just Vrabel in Seattle though throws me off, man. I'm gonna be honest. I know it's a hypothetical, but just looking
I
at
like
that is
Vrabel to
crazy.
Seattle. I like Vrabel to Seattle, I'm telling you. Okay. Um, Last one here that I'll give to you. The Raiders and their newly minted head coach Antonio Pierce
Hmm.
and draftee Bo Nix out of Oregon. What do you think about that one?
I think just in terms of between the three, you know, rookie quarterbacks that we're looking at in this one, I'd say I feel good about this one. Just, you
Hmm.
know, comes in, got a little chip on his shoulder, you know, never really got to show his true skill at the highest of levels when it came down to it. You know, might come in, Antonio Pierce gets him right in the right mindset, you know. But and it's also out of the other two, I've watched the most football from this guy, considering Pac-12, you know. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that could be fun too. Hopefully they could get the run game going with him. Let him just throw bombs to Devontae. Vegas starts emerging in the AFC West. Maybe they could take it away from our guy Patty, unless they get some receivers. I don't know.
All right. All right. Raiders fans, don't get their hopes up. All right. Don't get their hopes up yet. But no, that game is a little fun. The QB coach carousel there, because you know it's going to be crazy in the offseason. Just
Yeah,
had some
for
thoughts,
sure.
while we haven't filled a lot of the head coaching vacancies yet, and we haven't actually seen what's going to happen in free agency in the draft. Thought about some teams that could have both a new head coach, new quarterback for 2024, and what that might look like. So we're going to quickly review every game from the wild card round and then break down the divisional round game by game to get you
Hmm.
ready for this weekend. So rewind the clock back to last week. We're going to go Browns at Texans. The Texans win the game 45-14.
Crazy.
In terms of our picks for that day, Jody, 100% on that game.
Yeah,
We were
I'm nervous for this week after last week. I did pretty well last week. I'm nervous it's just gonna all crumble this week, but we'll see.
we were a consensus over 44.5 hit.
Hmm.
You had our guy Ford under 43.5 rushing yards. That hit. Singletary over 59.5 rushing yards. That hit. And then we both like the Texans against the spread. That hit.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of our straight up picks, I picked the
Hmm.
Texans. You picked the Browns.
Yeah.
Jody, you took an L on that one. Didn't take many L's, but you did take that one.
Yeah.
If we review our keys to that game, it was about the Texans getting pressure on Flacco, and they did. 4 sacks, 7 quarterback hits, the 2 pick sixes. At the end of the day, Houston's defense dictated the game to Cleveland with the different pressures they sent. Their secondary was much more disciplined, staying deep this time around against play action. Stroud was incredible, youngest starting QB to win a playoff game. And Bobby Slowick called a great game to take advantage of the Browns' speed on defense. It was a dominating win.
Yeah. I was watching that one at the bar. Saw the score. It was the first pick six. Like, all right, let's see what happens here. Throws the second one right after on the next drive. It's like, all right, I'm walking away. This is over. It was tough to watch, but I mean, we did pretty well on those picks, though.
We did. So we moved it on to game 2 here. Had another snooze fest, unfortunately. Chiefs 26, Dolphins 7. Our picks here, we had under 43.5, hit again. Tua under 256.5 yards passing. It's like stealing candy from a baby. That one hit. Harrison Butker over 1.5 field goals. He went way over that. That also hit. We did like the Dolphins to cover the spread. We finally had a miss there. And then ultimately we both picked the Chiefs. We were both correct there. I talked about the keys in this game, said that the Dolphins had produced 0 sack, or the Dolphins had to produce pressure without some of their best pass rushers. They didn't get a sack.
Impossible.
Mahomes was only hit 5 times. And he had 2 roughing the passer penalties that both resulted in points. The Dolphins only ran the ball 18 times for 76 yards. A-Chain and Mostert only had 14 combined carries. We said the exact opposite of what they needed for their game plan. They had 0 shot to win if they didn't run the football consistently, and they didn't run the football consistently. And hence you saw no shot to win. The Chiefs defense, they looked really good, generated 2 sacks, a pick, held the Dolphins for 1 for 12 on 3rd down. Their red zone offense is going to need to be better if they want to reach the AFC Championship game, though, because they were only 2 for 6 scoring touchdowns in the red zone in that game.
Yeah, that's brutal. That's definitely something they've been struggling, getting the ball in the end zone. I mean, Travis Kelce has said it too. Like, when they get down there, they just, I don't know, they can't connect. They're not getting, whatever reads they need or whatever to convert down there. And ultimately, that leads to our guy Harrison Butker getting over those 2 field goals. So, yeah. And another thing I wanted to briefly mention was you talked about Patty Mahomes getting hit. You see his helmet, bro? That was crazy. I didn't get to watch this game because of Peacock exclusive, but when I seen that picture, I was like, dang, that looks wild. Just broken helmet right here in the front. Like, never seen something like that.
I think it was definitely because of how cold it was outside for that game.
Gotta be.
So we moved it on to Sunday. Packers at Cowboys. The Packers win this game 48-32. We had to hear about the Cowboys all week because of this. Our picks in this game, we had over 51. That hit by a mile.
Yeah.
Jaden Reed over a half touchdown. Miss.
He didn't even touch the ball.
Scored for the Packers, except for Jaden Reed, it felt like.
Yeah, literally. Quite literally.
Jake Ferguson, we had over 45.5 yards, receiving yards. That hit. And then we liked the Packers against the spread. That also hit. Now, in terms of the game itself, I picked the Packers. You picked the Cowboys.
Yeah, very true.
I told you not to trust the Cowboys in the playoffs.
I ultimately thought that it was going to be like last year where they win the divisional, get to the next one, and, they smoked that one. But was not the case. Packers came. I shouldn't. Apparently, the Packers own them in their own home. It's crazy. I found that out this past week. So it's like.
And if you're thinking about this week, just like the Packers own the Cowboys in Dallas, the Niners own the Packers.
Oh, that's fine.
In San Francisco. So
that's good to know.
They've put them out. The Packers, the last few times they've lost in the playoffs, other than the one year they lost to Brady, I think they've lost to the Niners like 3 or 4 out of their past 5
Dang.
playoff losses have been to the Niners. So, going back to that game, though, Dallas went 10 of 16 on third down. The Packers went 6 of 10. So both offenses were really efficient. We talked about third down being a key in that game. But the Cowboys produced a majority of their conversions in the second half when they were down big. The Packers created 2 INTs, including a pick 6.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, like if Jordan Love plays that efficient, the Packers can go on a run. Their defense was really good in the first half, helping build a lead. The Niners are going to represent a much stiffer test in the divisional round. As I said, the Niners kind of own them in the playoffs, so they're gonna have to change some things in order to reverse that trend.
Well, I was gonna say too, Aaron Jones balled against that defense too. My guy got 3 touchdowns on his own. Like, I don't know. I think the Niners definitely got a more tougher interior core group of dudes in that front 7. So I don't know about that one. But did you also see the graphic of Jordan Love and CJ Stroud being the Spider-Man meme basically? They're just off by like a couple yards or
almost
whatever.
the
That was
exact
also
same
crazy.
stat line.
Yeah.
So moving on to that night game, Sunday night, Rams at Lions. Unbelievable game. Best playoff game of the weekend. It was the only saving grace of the entire weekend, quite frankly.
Literally.
The Lions prevailed 24-23. Our picks in that game, we had over 51.5, which looked like it was for sure going over after the first quarter, even after the first half. They were more than halfway there at halftime. The second half was 6-3, so we missed on that. Kyren Williams, under 16.5 receiving yards. He caught one ball early for 9 yards.
Yeah.
And then didn't do
I was
anything
in
else.
hot
So
water quick with this game.
So we hit on that. However, Jahmyr Gibbs, under 22.5 receiving yards.
Killed that one.
We missed on that one. He was way over that.
Yeah.
The Rams +3, we did hit because they only lost by 1. And then in terms of our picks, we both liked the Rams straight up. We're both wrong here, obviously. And so we'll talk about some of the reasons why. I mean, number one, I said red zone efficiency was going to be the key to this game.
Yeah, true.
The numbers just said that favored the Rams. It flipped entirely in the game. The Lions were 3 for 3, including a 4th and goal conversion, while the Rams were 0 for 3 and kicked 3 field goals.
Yeah.
That was the difference. In a 1-point game, easily the difference in the game there.
Definitely.
Like I said, I went with the Rams in this game because their red zone defense was so much better than the Lions. But that obviously, like I said, it flipped on its head in this game. I will say the referees in this game were awful.
Yeah, there was a lot missed.
At the end of the first half, they missed an offside by the Rams that would have turned a 4th and 5 to a first down for the Lions. Instead, they called it a false start and forced the Lions to punt. And then in the second half, they missed a PI on the Rams' first possession that would have allowed the Rams to possibly get 7 instead of 3.
The Puka one? You're talking about that one?
That was at the end of the game. They missed the one on Robinson on the third and long, and Stafford chucked it deep to him on the first possession. That could have extended the drive.
Yeah.
Then they missed the roughing the passer penalty on Stafford.
Yep.
Where it was third down. They have to kick a field goal after that. If you call that, possible the Rams score a touchdown there instead of kicking a field goal. And then obviously on the 3rd and 17, Puka being held. Clearly that would have put the Rams at least in range for a game-winning field goal had they called that. At the end of the day, hats off to the Lions though. Their defense won when it counted, like when it absolutely needed to in the red zone. And so this was by far the best game of the weekend, and certainly had a thrilling finish.
Yeah, no doubt. I will say, I text you instantly. We had Jahmyr Gibbs get like 2 catches and was already teetering on that line, and then Kyren comes around and does the same exact thing on 1 catch. I was like, oh, bro, I already lost.
Yeah, that was probably one of our tougher ones on the weekend.
Yeah, definitely.
So then we get to the Steelers-Bills game, which gets moved to Monday. And it is also not a great game. Steelers 17, Bills 31.
Mm-hmm.
Our picks, we had over 38.5. That hit.
Yep.
We had Josh Allen over a rushing or receiving touchdown. That hit.
That was like a 40-yard touchdown too.
Yeah. We had Jaylen Warren over 19.5 yards on his first 5 attempts. That hit. And then lastly, we had the Bills covering the spread here. That also hit because they won by 14. The Bills rushed for 179 yards on 34 attempts.
That's crazy.
They ran the ball. That we talked about that being such a huge key. The Steelers, they're 1-11 without TJ Watt in the lineup now in his career. That was also another key. That was going to hold the Steelers back from having a legitimate shot to win this game. My only other notes from this game: the Josh Allen fake slide should be illegal.
Do you believe he was fake sliding? It looked like he was just trying to cut, but he was moving his leg. He was slowing down.
No,
that's the way I saw
it. Fake slide. That thing was a fake slide for sure. I think it's just, if you see it as a defender, if you see a quarterback in the middle of the field kind of slowing up and shifting his weight back, you're expecting him to slide, and you're trying to pull up because that's what you're taught to do based on the rules. Yeah. And then if you're telling guys to do that, when a guy starts to slide and to not hit the QB, then you can't allow the QB to fake slide like that. That's pretty lame. It's really not fair to defensive players, honestly.
Yeah, I mean,
because if you tell him, well, just keep running until you actually slide, well, then you're going to hit him while he's sliding.
Give him another 15.
So, yeah. I don't know what you tell defenders about that. And, so I'm just saying that thing should be illegal. We want to protect the quarterback, fine. Don't let him fake slide.
Yeah. Or, I don't know, maybe change the rule on that one or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like the fake slide there. But the last game, Eagles at Bucks. The Buccaneers win this game handily, 32-9. Another snooze fest.
We also talked
our picks. We had under 44. That hit. Jalen Hurts under 237.5. We missed on that one. He actually threw the ball pretty well. We had Chase McLaughlin over 1.5 field goals. That hit. And then we had the Bucks +3. That also hit by a mile. So, and then in this game, I should have mentioned in the last game, we both picked the Bills. In this game, we were split. Originally, we were both on the Eagles. You switched because of the A.J. Brown injury, flipped over to the Bucks. Proved to be a critical switch for you. So you end up going 3-3 on the weekend. I end up going 4-2, with both of us missing on the Rams, and then me missing on the split the Cowboys, the Texans, and the this Eagles Bucks game. I talked about keys here that it would be like a crazy turnover, right?
Yeah.
Funny enough, there were no turnovers in this game. Did not prove to be the critical difference. However, the Buccaneers did create a safety, which definitely flipped the game because it was 16-9 before that safety, and getting it flipped it to 2 possessions, 18-9. Plus the Bucks got the ball and then scored. So the Eagles never really recovered from that. Hurts and the Eagles completely struggled on offense for most of the night, and then the Eagles could not tackle on defense.
Bro, Mitch sent us a text about that. He was like, bro, what are these guys doing right now? He's like, they're just soft to team out.
It looked like they didn't want to play. I mean, it was really bad. It was really bad. Then you have at the end of the game, Jason Kelce announces his retirement. I mean, salute to a legend. Sad to see him go, but really, honestly, very interesting offseason for the Eagles coming up here. I don't know where they go from here and what changes they're going to make, but I'm sure there will be changes.
Yeah. I mean, you probably blow up the squad, honestly. And by that, I mean, like, the coaching, get a new coach in there, maybe some new staff with them. I don't know if you know, but Jason Kelce, do you listen to them? I should say first before.
Not often.
Okay, so he kind of walked it back on their last episode, saying he didn't really officially do it. But I'm assuming, in like a month, he'll probably officially announce it on their podcast or whatever. It does feel that way, especially. Have you seen the picture of him at McDonald's with the jersey? Yeah, it definitely feels like he's going the retirement route. He's just waiting to do an official statement.
Yeah. Just have some last news and notes from the weekend. First thing I noticed, the team that scored first won all 6 games this weekend.
Yeah,
So coming out of the gate, it actually was to your advantage to get the ball first and then go down and score.
Isn't that what the Packers did? They wanted
Packers did it. The Lions did it. So yeah, it definitely was to your advantage there. Houston was the only team that ever even trailed, and they trailed at 7-3 and 14-10. The rest of the teams that won led start to finish, never trailed. The average margin of victory for the games was 17.3.
Not a good
so
look.
They sucked.
Yeah.
And we end up with an interesting group of QBs in the divisional round. I mean, in the NFC, you've got Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, and Jordan Love. If you had told us before the year that those were going to be the 4 QBs left, I think people would have been like, wow.
Yeah. No, definitely.
I mean,
the Baker one would have thrown us off for sure.
In some ways, all 4 of those guys, I think people would view as flawed. And one of those guys, one of those 4 is going to be in the Super Bowl 2 weeks from now.
Also true.
So, I mean, it's really, really interesting. In the AFC, it's Stroud, Lamar, Allen, and Mahomes, which
makes sense.
3 out of the 4 before the year, you could easily have been like, yeah, of course, right?
Yeah.
We would have guessed Burrow as the 4th one had he been healthy instead of CJ Stroud. But like the way CJ is playing, he's putting himself into that group anyway. So
yeah,
it is an interesting round in terms of quarterbacks. And so I'm excited to preview it and get everybody ready for these games this weekend.
Yeah, I mean one more quick note before we talk about this Texans Ravens. We got the 1, 2, 3, 4 in the AFC, and then we got the 7 instead of the 2 for the NFC, which is kind of crazy. A little more spread out in the NFC as opposed to the AFC. It's kind of all we kind of assume where it could end up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So let's start with the first game: Texans at Ravens. So I'll give you a key stat here, Jody. You ready?
Yeah.
5.1.
I haven't read these, so it'll be new to me.
5.1 is the opponent yards per pass the Ravens are allowing this season, which is best in the NFL.
Okay.
They rank top 10 in all defensive passing stats, and they arguably have the best pass defense in the NFL. CJ Stroud has led a potent offense, a potent Houston passing attack, but he hasn't seen anything like Baltimore's defense at this level. And he's going to have to be very efficient on the road in Baltimore against, like I said, the best the league has to offer, while also knowing the pressure of that Lamar Jackson is on the other side, right? So I think it's a good matchup, but I think one that if you dive into the numbers, favors Baltimore pretty sufficiently.
Yeah, I will say that I believe that, with this game, I could either see it being a blowout where the Ravens go crazy and, the Texans like put up, some points late in the game, garbage time points or something. Or it could be really tight, close game, like field goal wins it, you know what I mean? And it's like more so in the 20s as opposed to like 30 something to like 14.
What do you like on the over under here?
Yeah, so I like the over. I think, the Texans almost did that alone last week, Granted, it's a completely different team, but you got the Ravens coming off the bye week, Some of these dudes haven't played in 2 weeks as opposed to just being off the last week, They missed the last game and then the bye. So, it's going to be a slow start for sure. That's what you expect with them and the Niners, coming off the bye. But sometimes the getting healthy helps. So we'll see. But I just think CJ Stroud's either going to light it up, or like I said, it's one sided, and the Ravens could get closer to that number where we only need so much out of the Texans.
Yeah. I like you. I'm with the over as well. And I think we'll look at both of these defenses right now to explain how they might be able to shut down the offenses. But in general, it's still a pretty low number, the 43.5. So I'm with you. I really like the over here. But let's look at these defenses and what makes them so good. I feel like there's been a little bit of an overshadowing of the Texans defense simply because, CJ Stroud has been so good, and rightfully so, as a rookie. But D'Amico Ryans has done some really good stuff with the Texans defense in developing them and making them better throughout the year. So I'm going to break down. This is the second pick six against Flacco in Wildcard weekend. And you'll see this is the play that, if you've noticed, everyone has been talking about, because you see the D'Amico Ryans mic'd up moment with his linebacker explaining how to play this play. Then it happens exactly as he says in the mic'd up moment before the play, and the guy gets a pick six. So, it's awesome, right? The Texans are going to be to the boundary side. They're going to play an inverted cover 2, where the rolled up safety is actually going to buzz to the flat and the corner is going to bail to the half. Then you've got that linebacker who's playing the spot hook. Then to the field, they're playing true cover 2 with a middle of the field safety, or a guy who's showing in the middle of the field. He's going to bail out to the half. You're going to have a hard cover 2 corner. And then you're going to have the slot corner, Desmond King, is going to drop out to the spot hook. They're also showing a 5-man front, like they're going to bring this pressure, but they're going to drop out a third spot hook player. And so what you end up looking like is true cover 2, just inverted on the boundary side, right?
Yeah.
The Browns are in a 4th and medium, or 4th and short. All they're trying to do is throw a spot route at the sticks, right? So they're going to try and clear out at the bottom of the screen with Amari Cooper running the out route, the true speed out, and they're just going to run the little sit route with their tight end, right? What Flacco sees, and you'll see it, is the safety buzz out to the flat. So it looks like it creates that window, because in theory, the tight end is breaking away from the spot hook backer. But where Flacco throws this ball, it gives the backer a great shot to get a jump on it. And unfortunately for the Browns, fortunately for the Texans, get a pick six here. Yeah. Okay? So let's watch it. You'll see that backer, he doesn't move. He goes slow heartbeat, right? Flacco sees the safety bail with the out route right away. He says, okay, I've got my man then. Throws it. But, man, this backer, he didn't get any depth on that play. Normally they do, and that hole would be there. Instead, he sits on it. Watch this. From this angle, it's great. Flacco sees this safety bailing out of there, right? Okay, I've got my guy. Normally, this guy would be getting depth and actually creating space between him and this tight end. But instead, the backer doesn't get any depth because, as we heard pre-snap, D'Amico Ryans kind of telling him how to play it. Stay right there. Sit in it. Yeah. Sit in it. He's going to throw you the ball. And he does. Pick six.
That's crazy.
Game over. Texans win. It's really good stuff from the Texans and D'Amico Ryans. Now, on the flip side, there's a reason Mike McDonald is a hot head coaching name, right? The Ravens do some really good stuff. Now, this is against one of the most efficient offenses in the league, the 49ers, on Monday Night Football a few weeks back. You're going to see in the red zone, the Ravens are actually going to play what we call quarter, half, right? So to the field, they're playing quarters. They've got a cover 4 corner, cover 4 safety, a backer who's going to run to the flat, another backer who's going to play the hook. To the boundary side, they're going to play cover 2 because they get a nub side, right? There's no receivers out here. You get a tight end with a wing. So that's what we always call the Detroit pair, right? It's the pair, tight end wing together. So you're going to get a spot hook backer. The corner is going to play hard cover 2 to the flat. The safety is going to play the vertical, right? They're essentially clouding it over here. Might have had cover 4 called, and it could be an auto cloud check if you get the pair like that. Who knows? But they're clouding it to that side. Okay. What you're going to see is Purdy's looking. He sees the crossing route, and that guy, Deebo Samuel, beats a quarter safety across his face. What he doesn't see is the safety sitting on the other side, and you'll see that's how he ends up with the pick in the red zone. So Purdy's looking at it, right? Deebo has got this safety beat, no doubt about it. He's clearing this linebacker. If Purdy throws it now on a line, on that hash, he might be able to fit it in, right? But
a little air on there.
Puts a little air on it, just enough, and Kyle Hamilton comes and makes the play, right? It's crazy the difference between an interception and a touchdown in the NFL. Those margins are very slim. You'll see it from this angle. When Purdy gets back over, look what he sees. My guy's going to clear. If I just throw it right down the hash and I zip it to Deebo Samuel, it's a touchdown. Instead, he throws it where?
He leads them. Yeah.
He leads them too much, and he puts a little air under it, and he ends up throwing it right to Kyle Hamilton. Pick. Right? So, these two defenses are both very good. They're going to throw everything they can at each other. I think the Texans defense and DeMeco Ryans will have a plan for Lamar Jackson. I also think Mike McDonald, keep doing that, has seen CJ Stroud before in college and was very successful against him.
Where
was very successful when he saw him again early in the season, week 1 this year. Mike McDonald will have a plan as well.
He Big Blue guy? Is he Penn State? Big Blue? Penn State? Big Blue.
Michigan.
Okay.
He was the DC at Michigan for Harbaugh 2 years ago.
Okay.
The first time they played Stroud.
Yeah, that's it's gonna be fun to watch, and it's gonna be some real life chess games right there. But let's see. So I'll give you some prop bets right here for this game. This one, I was wishy-washy on my Texans pick. I didn't really know where to go with that one. But the Ravens one I'm gonna give you, I'm taking Justin Tucker over 1.5 field goals. He's done it 6 times since November. I also feel that, it's gonna be a tougher game for them to score. We saw it with the Browns even. It wasn't the easiest thing to move the ball for them. I think as long as, we don't get to see Lamar scramble all too much, they might be able to get Justin Tucker those field goals and get that one done for us. Now for the Texans, I was lost between doing Dalton Schultz under his yards or taking CJ Stroud's yards because I think he's going to light it up. So we're going back to the well on this one. I'm taking Devin Singletary again, over 59.5 rushing yards. 4 of the last 5 games that the Ravens have played in, all have gone over 100 yards rushing against their opponent. And I think it all started with Kyron in that overtime game. And so I think this one's for sure. Devin Singletary's hitting again.
All right, I like it. So I'll give you a final score prediction here. I think, unfortunately, this weekend we're going to see a trend continue of not super close games. Now, this game is still, I'm technically predicting a 1-possession game.
Yeah, true.
But I also don't think it'll be that close for most of the game. I'm going to go Texans 20, Ravens 28. I just think the Ravens are a more complete football team. They're a more experienced football team right now. They have a Super Bowl winning head coach going against a rookie head coach. DeMeco Ryans has done great things this year.
Fact.
They have a great pass defense going against a rookie quarterback. CJ Stroud has done great things this year. However, I just think the road ends here for the Texans. I think the Ravens are probably winning, by multiple scores for most of the game. The Texans try and get back in it late to try and make it a game, but ultimately the Ravens end up winning this thing. And like I said, I've got it at 28-20.
I'm gonna say that's similar to how we saw that Cowboys game where the end result looked close, but that's not how the game played out. You know what I mean? I see that happening as well in a sense. Let's see for the money line bet and the spread on this game. I'm gonna roll with Texans against the spread. We're taking 9. That's way too many points, just in general.
Yep.
Not even just for it being the Texans. And we're taking the Ravens. Like I said, that I feel like. Similar to you, how they're more veteran team, whether coached or with the squad that they have. I just feel that the Ravens are built to win this game, and they're at home. Like that's another huge factor that the Texans don't get this week as opposed to last.
Yep. So in all technicality, I think I agree with you because I technically have the Texans covering the spread, even though I'm losing by 8. The spread is 9. It's a high spread. I think the Texans will cover it. I do like the Ravens money line as well. All right. Game 2, Saturday night. Packers at 49ers. Key stat in this one, 40.93%. If there's a weakness to this Niners team, it has been their third down defense this season. They're bottom third in the NFL in opponent third down percentage. That's that 40.93%.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we discussed it last week. The Packers have a top 5 third down offense. Nice. Their defense likely doesn't have a shot to hold the 49ers offense down, similar to what they did in the first half against the Cowboys. So therefore, the Packers are going to need their offense to sustain long drives. They got to help their defense out. They're going to have to continue converting on third down. Went back and looked at it last week. Jordan Love, who's 4 for 5 for 62 yards and a touchdown on third downs in the first half against Dallas. He's very good. He's going to need to be that guy this week, to help their defense have any kind of chance.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is Love even forced another conversion by making the Cowboys jump off sides, right? I mean, he's even got that Rodgers thing going on, where he can get you to jump too. So he'll need to be all that and then some in this game. What do you like in the over-under, Jody?
The over-under sits at 50.5 on this game. I like the over. Whether it's me seeing the Niners come back after 2 to 3 weeks, depending on who you're talking about on the team of rest. I hope it's a closer game than what we will expect to see. But I believe the Niners score at least 30 in this game, and the Packers, as well as they looked last week, I think they can continue some of that success, but it's going to be tougher than what it was compared to that team. They're getting a bunch of dudes back on defense in their front seven. Christian McCaffrey's coming back after like 3 weeks off. Like, it's going to be a tough game all around. So I hope we could get this number. It's kind of high, but I do think it's very, very possible.
No, I'm with you. I think it will likely hit the over in this game as well. A little bit higher, obviously, but I imagine Purdy and Love will both play well enough that this number gets over. Speaking of those guys, I'm going to look at
the third downs of Jordan Love.
Some Jordan Love. Yeah, we're gonna look at some more Jordan Love third down tape, as we've done seemingly all season. This guy's been a wizard on third down. If you've been following this podcast and watching and listening, Jordan Love's been that way all year because I've broken him down 5 different times during this season on a third down. I think it's
like 3, maybe
4 now with this one.
Yeah.
So this was the straw that broke the camel's back in that game. The Packers were up 14-0 at this point. The Cowboys, they're in the red zone. They're like, you know what? Third and 6 in the red zone at the 20-yard line. Like, we get a stop here, force a field goal. We're giving our offense a shot, right? So what does Dan Quinn do? He sends a 6-man pressure. He's going all out. He's going to send 6, play coverage with 5 guys. Hey, if your man stays in, you add to the pressure. Let's go. Send it, right? Jordan Love, he's going to run a little motion into a stack, force the defenders communicate, which you can see they're already talking now, right? That's Gilmore and Jordan Lewis, and force them to communicate that, how they want to play that stack. And then the releases of the receivers on this stack are really tough to cover, and you'll understand why here in a second. So watch, Love brings them in motion. They get the stack. Now, Datavion Wicks, his initial release is outside. And guess where Stephon Gilmore is? Outside leverage already, because initially Wicks was in the slot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, watch as he presses it. He gets Gilmore to stop his feet, and he's outside leverage to break back inside to the post. And Jordan Love, watch this throw. He sits off that back foot and just flicks his wrist, puts it into the middle of the end zone, and lets this guy go get it. It's a thing of beauty. Watching Jordan Love throw the football,
it's crazy.
It reminds me so much of Rodgers, where, that's Rodgers. Come on. It looks the same. It's like the weird body motions, but the flick of the wrist where he can kind of be off platform below, but up top and just flick it, and it gets right where you want it.
You see that pass he had where he dropped down a little bit and sidearmed it? Oh my God.
Yeah, he's extremely talented, and he's doing things right now that we're just used to seeing Rodgers do, and I just can't put it any other way. The Packers have found their guy, man, and he torched the Cowboys.
That's
torched them.
That is for sure.
On the flip side, what presents such a great challenge for Jordan Love this week is the Niners are very disciplined in their coverage. Like, they can get pressure with 4 and be very disciplined on the back end. So this is them. They're running quarters coverage against Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. This was before the Eagles collapsed, right? And you'll watch, they're going to get their pressure, and they're just going to play quarters. And watch what they do in their coverage. Now, this is quarters versus trips. So the number, the backside safety has number 3 coming vertical. And watch how he just gets there, plasters. Now watch, they're getting pressure up front with 4. They're going to force Jalen Hurts to bail out of the pocket, and all their guys plaster. Nowhere to throw, nowhere to throw, nowhere to throw, nowhere to throw, nowhere to throw. Absolutely nothing. He has to throw it away.
Mm-hmm.
Has to. Right? So you've seen the coverage from that angle. Now watch the 4 big fellas up front work. Watch them. They're relentless up front.
Oh, there's a
Even if they don't get there initially, they get there eventually, and they flush him from the pocket and force him to throw it away. Right?
Yeah.
That's the challenge Jordan Love sees this week. And it's certainly a tougher challenge than what he played in Dallas last week. It's probably his greatest challenge of the season. On the road
and they
in
got
San
Chase
Francisco.
Young now too, not compared to.
Yep.
It's going to be tough. It
is going to be extremely difficult for Jordan Love. I'm excited to watch him in that environment and see how he responds.
Yeah, we'll see. It's first year at the helm, maybe he folds for a little bit or the whole time, who knows. But considering his play in the last, month plus, well, it'll be fun to watch for sure. See, now the props on this game, the kind of talked about it already. The Niners have a plethora of dudes on their team for one. Bunch of them, plenty of rest. And we expect them to do big things. You could do Brock Purdy 1.5 passing touchdowns. I like that one. Christian McCaffrey rushing yards. I kind of talked myself into that one a little bit. Or just yards combined even. It's like 100-something. Kind of crazy. But 3 weeks of rest for that guy, I think it's very doable. But the one I'm going to give you for sure George Kittle over 53.5 receiving yards. He's done it every week except for 6 times all year. Now that when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is my final answer. Like I like George Kittle to begin with when I saw it. I just saw like scrolling through Prize Picks, but after the whole season, he's only missed 6 times. Some of those are close. They're like 53. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
was that half bad beat. So I like George Kittle, especially. I guess Jair got hurt last week too, and he might not be playing. So that might be the only wrinkle to this puzzle piece. But other than that, I do like him going over 53.5. And then on the flip side, for the Packers, I'm rolling Aaron Jones under 18.5 receiving yards. He's only gone over that number 5 times all year. And those teams that he played against were Chicago, twice, mind you, Denver, Pittsburgh, and the Rams are the only times he's gone over those numbers. Where Denver was really early, where they weren't even like looking decent. It was like right after that 70-point game. Pittsburgh, don't know when that one was, but a little bit lighter on the defense, I'd say, for if TJ Watt was already out. And then Rams, I think, was still a little bit before they blossomed into the team that went on a streak. So I believe with the Niners defense being even better than all those, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. I like the props you brought to the table here. I do. I wouldn't be surprised if Kittle has a big game for sure.
Yeah.
At the end of the day here, I think this is once again another game where it's not as close as the final score prediction I'm even giving
Yeah.
you. I've got 49ers 33, Packers 24. So I'm taking the Niners to win by 9. The spread is 9.5.
Yeah.
So on all technicality, I am predicting the Packers to cover,
Hmm.
but not by a lot. And I really do think that this is a game where maybe the Niners get out in front early. They're up
Yeah.
2 scores before the Packers even know it. And then
Yeah.
it's Jordan Love trying to fight an uphill battle to get them back in it,
Just slinging.
which will be very hard against that defense. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm going 49ers 33, Packers 24.
Yeah, I agree with you on the spread and the money line. The spread, like I said with the last game, it's just too many points. And the way it played out last week, I think, was another reason why I think it'll hit. It's because they destroyed the Cowboys. I didn't expect that. And so it, it's definitely going to be a tough game for sure. The Niners are just talented all around. We talked about them all year, whether it was when we were doing our flag football team, even just talking about him in general. You know me, I love Christian McCaffrey in general. So it's gonna be a wild time on this game, but I do like the 9.5 spread. Just too many points. It's playoff football. It's not the same.
All right. So moving on to game 3, Buccaneers at Lions. This is the first game on Sunday. Key stat here, 41.8%. That number represents the percentage of plays the Buccaneers sent pressure over the course of this season.
Like
Todd
blitzing.
Bowles, yeah. Todd Bowles is very creative on the back end. He likes to run fire zones. We highlighted that before. He'll disguise who's coming, who's dropping, simply
Yeah.
roll from a too high shell into man coverage and blitz, whatever, right? He'll do it all. And then on the flip side, Jared Goff, he's completed a career high 50.6% of his passes when he's under pressure this
Hmm.
season. He's been actually very good at identifying the blitz, where it's coming from, and getting the ball out. That's something he's greatly improved upon since his time with the Rams and McVay. That was a big reason why they
Yeah.
got rid of him.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fun to watch who wins the chess match on that side of the ball, frankly, because I don't know that the Buccaneers offense has a huge chance of keeping up with the Lions offense. But, I think the Bucks defense could slow down the Lions offense to give themselves a shot.
Uh-huh.
So that's the matchup I'm really excited to watch here. What are you
Yeah.
thinking in the over under?
So this one's kind of a lot of points. It's at 49, And I see you see it going over that number. The way I see it is they played once earlier in the year. It was 20-6. So that doesn't come close to that even. But I think, with the Bucks, they won a couple weeks back 9-0 versus the Panthers. Yeah, I get it. It's the Panthers. Like can't talk highly on that one. But I think both teams they tend to play sloppy ball at some point in times, and I think it'll be somewhere in the mid-20s for both teams, and it's just not gonna hit over. I don't know. I don't think that's gonna be playing the same way they did last week for both teams, and it's gonna be a weird game all around.
I could definitely see that. Yeah, I could definitely see that. And I'll highlight here a big reason why. Let's look at the Buccaneers defense. Okay, in the wild card round against the Eagles, they loved sending pressure. They sent the house at Jalen Hurts. Todd Bowles, he's never been afraid to just throw everything on the table and guarantee himself a free rusher. Like that dude will live and die with pressure and trusting his guys in cover zero on the back end. For instance, you remember a couple years ago during the Rams Super Bowl run, the Rams, it's a tie ball game or they're down one, I think, whatever it was. And the Rams, they send zero pressure with like 40 seconds left. And the Rams hit Cooper Kupp for that big play. Right. And everyone's like, why is he blitzing and playing cover zero on the back end? It's like, Todd Bowles, that's what he does, man. This guy lives, eats, breathes cover zero, sending pressure. He loves that. So there's your special brand of DC when you're that way. So here you go. They're going to play man coverage across the board and send everyone else, right? Everyone else who's on the line of scrimmage here, and these two backers, they're all coming. So here we go. You'll watch the Cowboys or the Eagles.
Okay, that makes sense.
They were both so bad, I can't remember which one's which. Trying to pick up the pressure. And, of course, they only have enough guys to block everybody except for one. That one is Jalen Hurts is responsible for. Now watch. All of these are outside release verticals. And look at how physical the Buccaneers are on the back end. Who's open? Jalen Hurts is getting hit right now.
Nobody.
Who's open? Absolutely nobody. And then Antoine Winfield makes a great play at the end.
Yeah.
So this Bucs team.
Is that the play that Goddard started yelling at him for?
Yes. And you can see they know the blitz is coming. They're trying to check out into something they like. And even still, they don't get anything worthwhile here. And so I'm telling you, this Bucs defense, they are not afraid to do that. Now, on the flip side, the Rams and Sean McVay, and really Raheem Morris, their defensive coordinator, he's a much different play caller than Todd Bowles. So he did not send pressure at Goff a whole lot in their wildcard matchup. You go back, you watch all the plays, the amount of times the Rams actually sent a fifth rusher was really
rare.
Really rare, right? So Jared Goff and Ben Johnson, they didn't have to see that as much, but when they did, they always had an answer in that game, and that's why Raheem Morris didn't send it a lot. It's like you send the pressure. Oh, there's Laporta in the middle of the field. Oh, there's Gibbs on a check down. Oh, there's Amon-Ra St. Brown on the outside, right? And so Raheem really picked his spots, didn't send pressure a whole lot. This was a 3rd and 6 later in the game where he does send a pressure, right? But he's going to drop out with Hoyt, and they're going to play man coverage across the board with a 1 high safety. So they're playing cover 1, and they're going to send 6 because they keep the back in protection. Now you watch, Goff pretty quickly diagnoses that this is what's happening. He finds the matchup he likes. He gets the ball out of his hands to a spot for Amon-Ra St. Brown to go run underneath and then go make a big play. On 3rd and 6, they get about 30 yards. You can see it from this angle. Goff looks up. He knows this guy's coming because he knows the back is going to stay in protection. He sees everything, right? Okay, I'm getting pressure right now. Oh, I know my guy's outside releasing. I'm just going to let it
Yeah.
go and trust him. And
Put
it's
some
on the
touch
money.
on there, let it go. Yeah.
Yep. So these are the kind of throws, and the difference between that Lions offense and the Eagles offense. These are the kind of throws that the Lions are going to have to make against the Buccaneers, because I do think the Buccaneers will pressure them. Todd Bowles will have some good stuff to give guys free, and he's going to put pressure on Goff. He's not going to let him sit back there. So I am very curious to see how Goff responds to that this week against that Buccaneers defense.
That kind of ties in what I was talking about. Just ends up being sloppy, you know. He was doing well last week, and then he fumbles it this week. I don't know. I'm trying to talk myself into the under, but but for my prop picks for this game, I'm looking at Rashad White under 55.5 rushing yards. Let's see, 6 out of the last 10 games he wait, what? How does this make any sense? What am I talking about here? My notes say rushing under 55.5. 6 out of the last 10 games he has gone over. They played earlier in the year. He only got 26. I guess what I'm saying is I'm going to assume it goes back to how they played in the first game, where they're going to be trailing so long that they had to throw the ball more than they needed to run. I think that's what my train of thought was on that one. But reading it looks dumb. That makes no sense. It tells me go over. Let's see. For the flip side on the Lions, I'm taking David Montgomery over 13.5 rushing attempts on this game. Let's see. He only got 6 touches the last time they played, but he got hurt, I believe, in that game. And out of their last 8 games, he's gone 75%. So 6 out of those 8, he's gone over that number. And on the flip side, if it's as big of a blow as I talk about, they're gonna feed the man the rock, wind down the time. So that's the train of thought on those ones.
I like both of those actually a lot. I'm with you. In the end, unfortunately, I'm going to predict another game that's kind of not really a blowout, but pretty close to one.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Lions 35. I think Ben Johnson and Jared Goff have the answers for that pressure. Buccaneers 23. I think Baker keeps up with Goff for a little while, but eventually the Lions pull away in the fourth quarter. So yeah, I've got Lions 35, Buccaneers 23.
Yeah, for my money line and the spread on this one, so the spread sits at 6.5. Similar to you, I got the Lions with that spread, and it also tells you, I'm taking them for the money line. It's just I don't see the Bucks pulling it off. I think Baker Magic has ran out, and it was good to see him in the postseason, but I don't think he's quite there yet with the squad.
Yep. All right, so let's go to the last game of the weekend, and hopefully the most exciting, my favorite game to break down, quite frankly. And here's your key stat: 2-0. That's the Chiefs' record against the Bills in the playoffs with these two guys at quarterback. The Chiefs are 2-0. Mahomes is 2-0 over Allen in the playoffs. Despite some regular season success against the Chiefs, Josh Allen and the Bills have yet to experience a playoff win over Mahomes and Andy Reid.
That's tough.
This time it's different, though, because of some regular season success over the Chiefs. The Bills get to play host, and we'll see if Mahomes can win his first road playoff game.
Yep.
I will say this rivalry feels destined to become the new Brady Manning, which means we'll hopefully see future iterations of this, enjoy it, each one as much as the last. I would say I expect this thing to go right down to the final whistle with these two guys never feeling out of it.
That makes sense. I agree with that. It's going to be hopefully similar to that Rams-Lions game last week, where it's just fun all around, great competition. The dudes seen each other plenty of times. And, hopefully no overtime. That's what Josh Allen hope for.
Yeah. What do you like in the over-under on this game?
On this one, it sits at 45.5. I like the over. I think that, they've seen each other plenty of times, and if the Bills are who we think they are, they got to score the points. They can't just sit there and rely on their defense. If they both do that, it's gonna be a weird game that no one's seen. So I think they both got to put up a decent amount of points, get that number. It's gonna be hopefully somewhat of a shootout. Maybe the Bills pull away in my eyes because the Chiefs, they've had struggles with catching the rock, and that's how they're gonna do it. Unless Pacheco, I guess, goes Aaron Jones on them and runs up the rock like no tomorrow. So I just like the over. I think this is just a fun game to bet on the over, similar to the Rams one, where you just want points. It doesn't matter who wins, really. You just want to see a good game that's really high scoring.
Yeah. I think I have it going over as well. I do anticipate the defenses play well, though. It'll
Uh-huh.
just be big plays by Allen and Mahomes
Yeah,
that
true. Both
get
sneaky
us
good
to
at
the
running the
over.
ball with like everyone's deep. Oh, let me go get this first down for, another 20.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of the defenses, I just wanted to help people understand why this Chiefs defense is so good this year. They've been really good over the last 3 games. And they were fantastic against the Dolphins in the wild card round at stopping the run.
Uh-huh.
And we talked about a huge thing for the Bills is running the football, right?
Yeah.
Um, since they have figured some stuff out, they've been running the ball really well.
Hmm. Yeah,
Well, on
James
the flip
Cook.
side, the Chiefs have stopped the run really well. And here you'll see this look. They have a too high shell, but they're gonna keep 7 guys in the box and they're gonna come at you with everything to stop the run, right? The best thing about this is there's no notes here. This is just watch them reset the line of scrimmage. Watch the extension by the D line. Watch the
Yeah.
technique. Against zone blocking,
More
they
fast
are
on the pace.
moving with the gaps. Watch
Yeah.
the backers free flowing to the ball. Watch Karlaftis running it down from the backside.
Mm-hmm.
This is why
Yeah,
the
it's
Dolphins
impressive.
couldn't and stopped trying to run the football in that game. From this angle, it's even more fun to watch
Yeah, I
because
want to
you
watch
see
the
dudes
backside
punching and
backer.
pressing, not allowing themselves to be
Mm.
reach blocked. You see overlap by the backers, filling gaps, and eventually making the tackle. This is such good defense, good team defense by the Chiefs. They didn't let the Dolphins run the ball all night. And this is the kind of defense they're going to have to play against the Bills. Because on the flip side, you watch what the Bills were able to do to the Steelers. And that game, I talked about the Steelers trying to stop the run. The Bills ran the football down their throat. Here you go. They're running zone blocking. What we just watched the Chiefs stop, right? It's good on good,
Yeah.
strength on strength. Watch what they do with James Cook. The herd of elephants, they're all getting their head play side, moving their guy. And look, there's the crease. Cook
Mm-hmm.
creases it, cuts it backside. Look at how this natural alleyway gets created. Boom, hits it. Gets him into the red zone, right? Ends up being a huge gain. Same thing, watch it from the behind angle here. And you'll see the critical block overtaking the one technique on the backside. He's supposed
Yeah.
to be in this gap, and he's not there.
Got me.
And
Yeah.
now look what happens. Where does it hit? In his gap. So the Steelers were not as disciplined as the Chiefs last week. The Chiefs will obviously need to continue being that disciplined this week if they want to stop this Bills rushing attack, and they will need to stop it in order to win the game.
That's for sure. I will say too, they ran it a little different. I don't know if it was because the end on the first play was like more lined up on him, where he just went and like, tried to hook him right there, and the backside backer didn't really like commit. He was like kind of timid on whether he should like send that down the line. But the last play, the left tackle, I think it's our guy Dawkins. He just went up to the backer. He was like, I'm not even touching this dude. He could
Yep.
he could feel if he wants. So it was a little different on both. Very similar play, obviously. Just a little different how they schemed it up. So it was cool. Excuse me.
Uh,
So following the film study, we got my props on this last game we're looking at. So I kind of talked about it in the beginning. I think Isaiah Pacheco, I'm taking his over 14 and a half rushing attempts. I think it's at 15 now. I was looking at it earlier with Johnny, telling him what I liked on this week for the docket. And see over he's gone over that number 11 times all year, and he's only missed it once since November versus the Raiders, which I think they lost in that game. So I like that one for the Chiefs. On the flip side, similar to last week, I'm taking Josh Allen again, rushing yards. It's at 43 and a half. Let's see, 5 out of the last 7 he's gone over, and they won all those games except for one, which is part of the reason why I'm taking it, is because I think they're going to win. And with that being said, kind of similar where how I was talking about, where I think that he'll have everyone deep and then be like, oh, look, now's my time to run. Let me go get a nice, cool 10 to 15. So I think that happens quite a decent amount. So those are my two for this game.
I like it. At the end of the day, I'm taking the guy who's won more,
Yeah,
who's
it
proven
makes
it
sense.
in this rivalry so far. I do think the Chiefs are good enough to stop the Bills' run game, make them one-dimensional, and that's when Josh Allen turns the ball over. I
Mm-hmm.
think it will be a Josh
Try to
Allen
create too
critical
much.
turnover.
I get that.
That will be the difference in this game. I'm going to go with Chiefs 27, Bills 24. Slight over on the over-under, or it definitely hits the over on the
Decent.
over-under, I should
Yeah.
say. And then obviously I like the Chiefs on the money line. I like the Chiefs to cover that
Yep.
small spread that favors the Bills. But who you got, Jody?
This is where we defer. This is gonna be the Cowboys Packers game of last week. I got the Bills winning. I taking the -2.5 as well. I think I just feel, Josh Allen hasn't been able to do it at his house yet. It's always been on the road, going out to Arrowhead. I think it's kind of like destined for him to win this one for the Bills Mafia. Get them possibly to a home game next week. Who knows? Maybe the Texans could pull off an upset. I don't know, but no, I do want the Bills to win -2.5. What's my reasoning? I don't have none. I want to see Josh Allen do it. You know what I mean?
You know what's funny about this game and about these two teams is if you had asked us, I don't know, somewhere around week 15 or so, both these are probably
They
two of
were
the more flawed
weird looking. Yeah,
versions of Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes teams that we've seen, and I mean,
definitely.
pretty much since both those dudes became really good. These two teams are both very flawed. Like
Yeah,
that Bills team last year was better than the one they have this year, or
definitely.
even the one they had 2 years ago was better than this year. Same thing for the Chiefs.
Yeah,
So it's really interesting these two teams meeting in this moment still, despite their flaws, and one of them is going to be in the AFC Championship
yeah,
game, regardless. So just goes to show how important quarterback play is, man. You put yourself in a position, you're 1 win away from an AFC Championship. Should be a great
mm-hmm.
game. For the
That's what we
record, I could
hope
see it
for.
going either way. If I'm going to have to place a bet
But
here,
yeah.
bet on the guy
Leaning
who's
towards
done
yeah. No, definitely. That's understandable. That's like I just want to see it happen. That's why I'm
it.
betting with my heart on that one, not necessarily what I believe will happen. So we'll see. If this
Well,
is the one I miss, it's all right. I can't knock myself, but
if you're
it's
to
gonna be a good
believe
game.
me, then we're going to have a fairly boring weekend until this game. But
Very
if
true.
the other three are kind of okay, not great games, but this game is fantastic, I'm good with it. Just give me
Yeah.
one of these games, just has to be awesome. That's it. That's all we're asking for. Football gods, help us out.
I think we get bookends on this one. Texans Ravens somehow a lot better than we anticipate, and this one makes it even better at the end of the night. We'll
Clearly, I
see.
would love that. If we
Yeah.
got one upset in there, that'd be great. But you heard it here first. Your NFC championship is going to be Lions at 49ers, and your AFC championship is going to be Chiefs at Ravens. That's what I'm saying.
Get the script? You're telling us like it happened. TBD.
But I think we'll call it a day, and we'll be back
sir.
to break down the divisional round games. Next week, we'll also preview those conference championship games for you. Talk
Be a good
about whatever
one.
coaching news is going on between now and the next time we record, because I'm sure stuff is about to go down. But until then, we got our guy Ray Ray.